Hi guys, welcome back to the next episode in our Battle Royale tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to cover how we set up our connected players widget, which will show how many people are alive at the top of our screen. And this will be replicated across from the server to the clients. Excuse me. This is actually the third time that I have recorded this episode. Had some driver issues. So hopefully we are all good now. So the first thing we're going to do is open up our UI. We'll go into our textures, and I'm just going to drag in this image I created inside Photoshop. So if I open up the image, it's just a background with a live across it. So I'm just going to change this to user interface. You don't have to use an image, you could use text just saying alive inside the widget if you like, but I'm going to use this. So just save this, close that down. Now if we go back to the UI, we go into lobby, we have our connected players widget. So if I just drop this down, I'm going to move the connected players into all levels. So just move this here, because it's no longer going to be just for the lobby, it's going to be the lobby and the gameplay. Both maps will have the alive. So if we go to all levels, we'll go to connected players and just open this up. Okay, so the first thing we need is a vertical box. So let's drag in the vertical box, and then inside this vertical box I want my image, and then under my image I want some text. Okay. So you just drag the text into the vertical box and it will appear underneath the image. So now if we grab the vertical box and if we zoom in, you see it's still stuck in the top left hand corner. So if we go to the anchors, we can anchor it to the centre and the top. And it remains with the position. So let's reset the position to 0. And now it moves into position in the centre of the screen. Now to centre this out, we can set our alignment to 0.5 and it centres it. And then my size for my image is 230. And in the Y, we're just going to give it a value of 120, so it gives it plenty of room for our text to appear underneath. Now if I grab my image, I just set it to alive. And I know that my image size is 230 by 65. So I'll set my image size to 65 to prevent any stretching. And the 300 we don't have to worry about because we have it filling the entire box. But we could set this to 230. It doesn't make much difference. So let's now grab our text block. In the text block we want it to be centered. We want to set the size to 25. Okay. And let's just set the default text to 000. So let's compile and save this. And I have some form of error. Yeah, I don't have a text binding yet, so let's just bind this text. Now, when we bind the text, it brings up a new function, and this is our function. So let's set this function to get player count. Compile and save. Now to get information for inside this function, we need to start setting some things up. So the first thing we're going to do is set up how this appears on the screen. So if we go back to our game instance, let's open up our game instance. Inside the game instance, I'm just going to create another widget. So let's create a custom event. And we'll call this show player count. Okay. Now from the player count, you want to check is valid. So is the widget valid? And if not, we want to create the widget. And our widget is our connected players. And we want to get the player controller, because this player controller will be our owning player. Okay. Now we want to create a reference, so we'll promote this to a variable. And this reference will be connected players reference. Then we want to drag this connected player's reference into the input object so that it checks if this widget is valid, and if not, then we'll create the widget. Now let's click on our widget and set the category to widgets. Okay, that way we can keep all our widgets together. Now, if it's not valid and we create the widget, we then want to say set to viewport, so add to viewport. Okay, and if it is valid, we also want to add it to the viewport. So compile and save. And let's close that down just now. In fact, let's keep it open but just dock it, because we will need this later. Let's actually comment this out as well. Show player count. Okay. Now we need to set this up. We need to call this event inside our lobby level blueprint. So let's now head over to our lobby and open it up. Okay. Now inside our lobby, if we go up to blueprints, we can open our level blueprint. And inside the level blueprint, from event begin play, we want to get our game instance, and we want to cast to the game instance that we use, which is my game instance. Okay. And now from my game instance, we just want to call this event here. So if we just drag out from here and just say show player count, this will now produce the player count onto our lobby screen as a UI. So if we open this up, you can see alive is at the top center of the screen. Okay. So compile and save. And we can just close this down, we don't need it for now. Now inside our lobby, we also need a game instance. A game state, sorry. So let's go to blueprints and go to all levels. Okay. Now what the game state does is it transmits data which is replicated based off the game state. So if we create a game state, so right click, blueprint class, and just type game state. Game state base, you can, if you read it, it says it is fully replicated. This will mean that we can transmit data not only on the server but on the client side as well. So we want to grab this game state underneath game state base. It's just a subclass of game state base and behaves like multiplayer match based game. So let's select this and we'll just call this my game state. And then over here in the lobby, so lobby game mode, we scroll down, we can change game state to my game state and save the current. Okay, so now that we have set this, we need to restart our editor. So let's just restart it. We'll save selected, open it back up again. Okay, so I'm just going to hit restore now to bring up the tabs I had open. There we go. Now what we want to get from our from our game state, if we just open our game state just now and click open full blueprint editor. Okay, and let's get rid of this. Now from event begin play, what we can do here is if we drag in a print screen, a print string, and drag it out, if we right click, we can say get player array, and from this array, if you had to give a for each loop, we can set for every player that comes into the game state, for every player that comes into the game level, it produces an array element, and we could set this to give it an ID or something along those lines. But because we only want to find out how many elements are inside the array, we can just ask for the length. And if we produce that length in a string, compile and save, and then make sure we are on our main menu map, we press play and enter the lobby. You can see at the top there, it just gave a quick string telling us that someone had entered. So it was set to 1 on here. If we now press play here and watch for the string, you can see it says client 2. So what this is doing is it's counting how many people are actually inside the game. So if we compile and save this, just delete everything that's in it. We don't actually need any functionality in here just now. So if we close down our game state and head back to our connected players, and from connected players, let's just open this up. And if we drag off our return node, let's create another function. And inside this function we want to say get number of players. Now I like to do it this way because it keeps things nice and clean. So if we grab the get number of players and just say outputs, we want to set the output to number of players, and we need this to be an integer. Now we want to get our game instance, or get our game state, sorry. So get game state, and from the game state we want to cast to our game state, which is my game state. Okay, and if we just drag that into here, we'll pull this out. And from our game state, we want to get the player array. So get player array. And from the player array, we want to get the length. Okay. And if we drag that into our number of players, it gives us the number of players inside the game session. So let's compile and save this. And if we pop back to our player count and just drag in this function. Okay, so from this function now, we have an integer and we want to convert it to the text. And compile and save. Now, when we press play, and we open up our first game, you can see we have alive is set to 1. Now if we grab a second player and press play, alive is now set to 2. And this will continue by grabbing a third player to set to 3. And the good thing about this is when the second player leaves the game, it resorts back to 1. We can't show this in editor, but if you boot from the source, just launch from source, 2 games, you will see that you can close the second one and it will revert back to 1. Now, the problem we have just now, we compile and save everything. If we head back to our game instance, and we look down to our create sessions and join sessions, we can see inside our create session that our max number of players is set to 100. Now when we find the session, we are looking for sessions, we are looking for sessions, we are not looking for sessions that are empty. So the problem now arises that we will try and join sessions that are more than 100 players. So what we want to do from here is we want to limit the sessions. We want to check and see, has the session got the max amount of players. And if it's not, then we want to join a session. If it has, we want to tell them that the session is full. Please try again. So from here, let's drag from the array element and just get current players. And then we want to drag from the array element again, get max players. Now we want to check, is current players not equal, so not is an exclamation mark, not equal to max players. And because it gives us a condition, let's create a branch. So if it's true, if current players does not equal max players, we want to join a session. Okay. And if it's false, let's just print a string. Sorry. And let's just say in this string, session full, try again. Now this will only be called if the last player in the session, so the last player to join the session, is accompanied by another player. So for example, if we have 99 players inside this session and 2 players try and join the session, one player will have this set to true and the other one will be set to false, and they will be given this string. Now if this comes back as false, then it's going to create a new session for us. So to test this out, let's go to our player connections and say the maximum amount of people inside this game should be 2. So if we now compile and save, and we play, we start up the first game, and then we bring our second player in, when our second player comes in, we have now hit the maximum amount of people in this game. So when the third player tries to come into the game, you will see this game stays at 2 players for the maximum, and this game is a brand new game with no one in the game. So the third player has created a game on their own because this game is now full. Okay. So this now brings us to the end of this video. In the next video, we will do some more blueprint work. Maybe something to do with the characters. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.